5.2, part 3. I want to simplify x to the negative 3 times x to the 5th times x to the negative 4th. Now, I said before in the last section that there are problems where you're going to have a lot of optional first steps, and this is definitely one of them. I could convert this one and this one so that they had positive exponents, and then I would have fractions to multiply together and simplify. But all of my old properties work too, and a lot of people find it easier to go ahead and use property number 1 before doing anything else. What we have are things multiplied together, and they have the same base, so we can add up their exponents. So if I apply property number 1, I will have x to the negative 3 plus 5 plus negative 4, which is x to the negative 2. Okay, so if I have x to the negative 2, now we're not allowed to keep a negative exponent. I have property number 6 here. I take that negative exponent and move it down into the bottom. So this is the same as 1 over x squared, and that would be your answer. Okay, now this is a problem where we have several first options. I could, inside here, take this x to the negative 1 and move it down into the bottom, have all positive exponents on the outside, then start dealing with this. That's one option. I could take this negative 2 power and use this property, applying it to the top and then the bottom, and then going from there. But only because I have not used this property, I'm going to use property number 8, just so you have a reason to see how this works. And there are some things in here that can be a little bit tricky if you let it. So I definitely want to use property number 8 here. What property 8 says is that if I have a fraction raised to a negative exponent, I can take the reciprocal of the inside and make the exponent positive. When I do that, I have z squared in the top, x to the minus 1, y, now to the positive 2 power. This is still a negative exponent because the only negative exponent I was fixing was the one on the outside, not this one. Okay? Now from here, I can move this up to the top, or I can take this and put it on the top and the bottom. Let's just go ahead and move this up to the top. Okay? So I'm using what is essentially, I don't know whether to call it property 6 or 7. It's kind of both. And it becomes x, excuse me, z squared over y squared. Now this is a property like the one, now we have a problem like the ones we did in 5.1. I'm going to take this outer square and apply it to the top and the bottom. This is property number 4. Now that denominator is as nice as it's going to get. Now we can take this 2 and apply it to both of these using property number 3. So we get x squared, z squared, squared over y squared. And then one last thing, a power raised to a power. This is property number 2. And so I multiply those together. My answer is x squared, z to the 4th over y squared. And that would be your answer. Okay, let's work one more. Let's, for this one, let's go ahead and take care of these negative exponents on the inside. I'm going to move this p down to the bottom and this 3 up to the top. So what I have, and this is property 7 happening here. I have 2 times 3. Just make sure you don't write it as 23. That moved up. The 2's there, the 3 moved up, and I have a q over, now I have p to the understood first power. You can write the 1 if you need to, for pm squared, and this is all squared. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so I have 6q over pm squared. That's just arithmetic. Now I'm going to use property number 4 and take this square and apply it to the top and the bottom. Now we have property number 3 in the top and the bottom. So I take this 2 and apply it to each one. So that's 6 squared q squared over p squared m squared squared. And then arithmetic in the top, 6 squared would be 36. Q squared over p squared, and then m squared squared. That's property number 2. Multiply those exponents to get m to the 4th power.